Hey, so I've been asked a lot recently, how can we prevent concussions for different athletes? I've got kids who might have 2 or 3 concussions when they're in the youth level, middle school level. Before they even get to high school, they have 2 or 3 concussions. So couple things I'd say that, there's a few ways to avoid concussions, especially in youth sports, is, I wouldn't let my kid play football unless it's flag football until they're in 7th grade and they're starting to be developed. Again, the sport that is most prone to concussions is obviously football. The next one might be a very, very distant, outside of like rugby, lacrosse would be wrestling is a little bit more prone than most sports, but again, it's still not that. There's not as much blunt trauma as there is in football. So the concussion rate is there, but it's not extremely high. Actually, soccer has a decent amount because of doing head balls that can cause concussions. So the first step is not letting your kids play football when they're in the youth level. Say, look, go play flag football. Flag football is awesome. It develops speed, footwork, technique, really good technique. They don't need to be hitting each other when they're that young. They don't even know how to freaking squat yet. You want them to go smash each other? So that's the first step. Step number 2, take creatine. You get kids in high school and they're playing football, get them on creatine. There is scientific studies that have been shown to decrease, that creatine decreases the rate of concussions in collegiate football players. If your school or if your football team isn't on creatine during the football season, you're doing your team a disservice. Outside of the performance enhancement, it's the best supplement to prevent concussions. On top of that, omega fatty acids like cod liver oil, that's always going to help recovery from trauma and from just taking hits all the time. It's going to increase your brain's recovery and ability to to have proper cognitive function. But the third thing that I think is most important is strength training, strength development. You've got all these guys, this off season I think we're going to work on speed. We're going to do speed. So what do? They do speed ladders. And first of all, speed ladders don't do anything to increase speed. There's no science to back that up, except for it might decrease speed because it's teaching you how to have a shorter stride. We're gonna get functional strength. Well, dude, here's the whole problem: is that the best lifts for concussion prevention, snatch, cleans, jerks, because you're teaching your motor units and your nervous system is learning how to not just fire, but to fire fast. And there's the intent is there, but it's also the speed, and it's that reaction that when you take a hit, if you're playing football or if somebody's doing a double leg and they lift you up in wrestling and you're about to land on your back, and instead of going woo with your neck, you can brace. It's a tighter hit. So when you're getting there and you're going to hit somebody in football and they come in at you and you're going here, that's what's going to cause a concussion. But if your traps are freaking jacked up and your nervous system is fired up from weightlifting or from doing box jumps or from doing explosive lifts, jerks, speed deadlifts, band squats really fast, squat and jumps, all that stuff. You can hit and you're going to be here instead of here. And that tighter reaction, and I always call it's almost like a relaxed explosiveness. So you're walking around and your head's always on a swivel, but it's also always ready to get hit. And again, you'll see guys like Floyd Mayweather has some videos where he's doing neck rolls for 100 reps. Boxers, it's proven fact that the stronger your neck is and the stronger your traps are, the more you can absorb the blow. That's how boxers are. The guys that aren't getting knocked out tend to have necks out here because they can keep handling those hits because their neck muscles can absorb the blow. And that's the whole basis. Is that's what disgusts me when you see these wrestlers, especially wrestlers. They walk out in their string beans. They barely have a neck. There's no development in them. There's no trap development. They haven't been doing weightlifting. They haven't been doing snatch high pulls here, working that speed and the nervous system to fire, and working your traps and working your neck all at once. And those lifts are going to prevent concussions because even if you don't see it coming, your body is going to feel, let's say you're getting blindsided, you still will feel that. And it's the feeling that will trigger your nervous system to fire and absorb the blow. And it's the reactive strength and that big, fast myelin circuit, boom, you react fast, okay? And instead of reacting slow when you're not doing strength training and you're here all over the place like a rag doll, but if you get hit and you're tight, you're going to be okay. And the neck stuff, if you're going to train your neck, you've got to do high reps. Your neck is a slow twitch muscle unit. It's got to be trained with high reps. But the thing is if you're going to train your neck and doing neck rolls and plate extensions, stuff like that, you've got to connect it so that in my opinion, weightlifting is the best thing for it. The neck rolls, you can do 100 reps, but if you don't have that fast twitch reaction, if you're not doing the weightlifting, then you're not going to connect that general strength, that isometric strength that you can have in your neck from doing 100 reps. You're not going to be able to connect it to the fast firing of the snatch and of the clean onto the football field. So again, it's my rant. I just really think people do a disservice to their kids, and they always are worried about concussions and stuff. Well, there's ways to fix it. You get them on creatine, but that's not even the most important part. The most important part is strength training. Olympic weightlifting will prevent concussions. It's extremely good for your nervous system, and in that rate in the force absorption, your body learning how to absorb force is what's going to prevent concussions. I always use this example of my one buddy Carmelo who fought in the UFC. He got into a terrible car accident about 10 years ago. Horrible. And he was in the hospital for going like 2-3 weeks, right? The doctor said to him, Carmelo, had you been a smaller guy and a weaker guy, you could have broken your neck. And the fact of the matter is, that's what happens, is that you get guys, my dad got rear-ended. My dad's got a huge neck, okay? My dad got rear-ended nearby our house. He was driving his truck, and he hit his head on the window, and I'm pretty sure he broke the rear window because he's got a melon head like me. But it was here, and he had a little bit of whiplash. But he was okay. He was a little bit sore. But if he's somebody else, and boom, he might put his head through the window, huge whiplash, huge concussion problems. And that's the whole thing. You see this all the time where large men that do strength training, they come out of car accidents and they're in decent shape because their body is able to react and brace up properly, even though you don't want your legs to brace, but you can still absorb blows. And that's the whole thing with weightlifting and concussions. It's all about how fast your motor units can turn on, how fast your muscle turns on to protect your spine, to protect your neck. So Olympic weightlifting, creatine, and don't let your kids play football when they're in freaking 3rd, 4th grade getting hammered by 5th or 6th grader who might have already hit puberty. I think that's stupid. I think everybody should play flag football until they're in 7th grade.